Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from Lacuna Coil entitled Anima, which came out today through Century Media Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Lacuna Coil, they're a gothic metal band hailing all the way from Milan in Italy, and these guys have been around since the late 90s. I discovered Lacuna Coil probably around 2006, 7, 8. I can't remember. It was somewhere around that range. And I actually had digged some of their stuff. I mean, around that time, I'm not like the hugest fan of their stuff. I mean, I'd like most of their stuff like these guys have put out. Going back, some of their album like In a Reverie, their first album, which came out in, I forget, 99. And then I like their album Unleashed Memories, which also had the Half-Life EP, the version I have. And I thought the title track of that EP, Half-Life, was pretty good. And Comolis, which came out in 2002, I thought was a really good album. And I also liked Karma Code, which in my opinion is probably my favorite album for them. And the first song I ever heard from Lacuna Coil was the song Our Truth, and that pretty much got me into this band. And then their last couple albums, being Dark Adrenaline and Black Crown Halo, I thought were okay. But then their previous album, which came out in 2016, Delirium, I actually thought was their best work to date. It's kind of like probably their best they've done since Karma Code. And I actually had, if you've seen my review of that from 2016, it was really, you could tell. But with this album, Black Anima, the band's 9th album, does it live up or exceed what Delirium has? In my honest opinion, I feel like it definitely has. It sort of follows in the same realm of Delirium as it does in here on Black Anima. I feel like Lacuna Coil has gotten a lot heavier these days in terms of like musically, lyrically, and just like the overall direction that they're going to is really impressive. The production on this album is just great. And let's just talk about the vocals, or the vocal work in general, from the two vocalists being Christina Scabbia and Andrea Ferro. And Christina's vocals like really shine, just has that little darkness to it, and she has like really great range when it comes to her vocals. And Andrea's vocals, like sort of like his harsher kind of like style and like his screams that he does kind of like brings sort of like that also heaviness that they have. The guitar work on this album is pretty superb. Like, it's just heavy. You could definitely hear it. The guitar is really well. I just love the tone on this album is just great. Bass playing is pretty audible. You could definitely hear it well in the mix. It pretty much follows what the guitar does. And the drumming is pretty solid. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now it begins with the unnerving song Anima, which sees Christina sort of like evolving from an angel to a demon. And the dark atmosphere set the tone. It's sort of like the little intro, which goes into the next song being Sword of Anger, which has like Andrea Ferro just roaring over it. And this is pretty much the signature Lacuna Coil riffage kicks in, bringing in an era familiar to it. And Christina and Andrea are still a formidable duo. No other kind of like girl dual fronted group can touch them. And Sword of Angel is sort of like equal parts of just ferocious and melodic, but without sounding very cliche or stale. Reckless, which is an interesting beast. Christina unleashes her inner diva while the riffs pummel away, and there's a very unforgettable chorus providing one of the most striking moments on the album. And everyone may comment of how Christina and Andrea have improved over the years, but credit is also due from the other members of Lacuna Coil for continuing to execute the heavy accompaniment with aplomb. Next one on the album is called Layers of Time, which is another perfect example of sort of like what Reckless has. Like 4 tracks in, the band refuses to drop the pace. Andrea pretty much shines here with his vocals as well, just very fiery. And the subtle symphonics on this song pretty much give it a very bewitching edge to it. And then the next song being Apocalypse, which pretty much goes full gothic on here with sort of the darkly melodic verse and storming chorus, and one of the biggest songs in the album impact-wise, and sort of like the dark messages and soaring vocals will haunt you for the remainder of this album. Now or Never, which could sit comfortably on the last album, Delirium, with sort of its bold riffs and aggressive stance. Christina sort of like brings light to the darkness, but is short-lived as she expels sort of like inner demons on this track. And then pretty much she takes the lead with the next song being Under the Surface, which is another solid song by the band. Next song on the album, which is called Venevisium. I can't really pronounce it, which sort of has some very gothic goodness vibes, with sort of like almost a little bit of like Latin utterances and promises of sorcery, and just some very mesmerizing melodies. Sounds magnificent with the creeping pace and very eerie atmospherics. And Lacuna Coil right here are brilliant storytellers, and the mood that creates are just very monumental. Next song on the album is called The End Is All I Can See, which has some very dark guitars, which in the intro, it sort of like builds up with the tension, and the sweet release is given by a very enchanting chorus. Next song is Save Me, which is the band sort of like saves an absolute belter for the second to last song on the album. Save Me is bound to be the most stirring fan favorite. The heart-wrenching melodies and Christina's raw passion is sure to trigger an emotional response from listeners. There is an air of vulnerability on Save Me, which is absent for the rest of the album, which also makes it the most charming track on here. And they're throwing like a little spoken word passage that would resonate with anyone that has ever dreamed. Hey man, you got yourself pretty much a classic of Lacuna Coil. And then the album closes with the title track, Black Anima. Man, it's a very phenomenal track. It has been a while since Lacuna Coil has delivered such a epic closer, and every component is heightened for a blistering end. While many Lacuna Coil's peers have crashed and burned over the years, I feel like Black Anima is the proof that the band is sort of like a still torchbearers for gothic metal. Now, overall, the Black Anima is a really pretty good album, but definitely a good follow-up to Delirium. And pretty much, after like this band being around for 20 years, they just continue to just surpassing themselves. And it's clear that they're not out of like cunning ideas just yet. So if I had to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 9 out of 10. So yep, that's my review of Black Anima by Lacuna Coil, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.